Hello, friends. Good afternoon to all. Today we try to understand what is production planning process. First of all, forecasting is there. Forecasting is the means forecasting. We have to plan and forecast about the requirement of any product according to the customer order. Then aggregate planning is done. That aggregate planning is in the plan horizon of 1 year. After that, master production schedule is having a planning of about few months. And then the output of the master production schedule become input for the MRP, that is the material requirement planning. Okay, so MRP is a tool in which we do the planning of the requirement of the material and having inputs from bill of material, inventory status file. Okay. And then after the analysis from the MRP, it released the order. That is the plan released order. Okay. And then after the release of order, the organization has to decide either they have to buy the product or make the product. This make or buy decision is very crucial, that either outsource the any product or make inbuilt. Okay, so when we have to buy the product, then purchase order is released, and when we have to make the product, then accordingly our capacity of the organization is decided. This is done through capacity requirement planning, in which loading capacity is there, how much load is taken by each and the every machines, and there's the routing data, and then the production activities carried out like loading, sequencing, scheduling, and expediting. So this is all the shop floor activities. What is aggregate planning? Aggregate planning is the planning of any components quantity, and it's the timing of the output over the intermediate horizon range. And there are the three methods of the aggregate planning: chase strategy, label strategy, and stable workforce strategy. These three strategies will work out at time to time. It means whether we have to maintain the production level constant, whether hire and the firing of the worker, and whether to make the workforce constant in speculations of the demand. Okay, so three very much important strategies is chase strategy, label strategy, and stable workforce strategy. Then master production schedule, it follows the aggregate planning and express the overall plan in terms of the amount of specific and items to produce and date to produce them. It means MPS is decided in how much quantity the different product is required. Okay. This is the aggregate production plan. Now, this is the production plan of suppose the January month. In January month, 15,000 quantities of the amplifier is required. Then what is MPS? MPS is the weekly plan, that in the first week, second week, third week, how much amplifier of 240 quantity watts is produced, how much requirement of the 140 watt amplifier, how much is the requirement of the 70 watt amplifier in the month of the January or February in the specific week. So we can say that master production schedule simplifies our problem. Okay. After this, there is a material requirement planning. Material requirement planning is the computer-based technique for determining the quantity and timing for the acquisition of the dependent demand items needed to satisfy the MPS, that is master production schedule. Okay, now this is the bill of material, in which at different level, which type of the component is required. Suppose we want to manufacture product A. So the number of product B is required having 2, number of the quantity of the C required is 3, and in the manufacturing of the one product of the B, 2 components of the E is required, 2 components of the D is required. So this is the, we can say, the product structure charts of the components. Accordingly, be able to find how much parts or the component is required in manufacturing that component. So, and this is the bill of material. Okay, after that, capacity requirement planning is the process of determining what personals and equipment's capacities are needed to meet the production objectives in the MPS and the MRP. That's CRP getting feedback from MRP, load reports, work can be moved from one center to the smooth the load, bring it within capacity. Okay. So this is all about the capacity requirement planning, material requirement planning, aggregate planning. Okay, and different forecasting techniques are also there. See this, loading is the process of assigning job to work centers and machine for the future processing. How much load is there in at a particular time to the work centers, to the different machines. And the Gantt chart is the same type of the chart which shows the load of the different machines. Sequencing, the process of determining the sequence of the operations of all the jobs at the each work center. Scheduling is the process of determining the start and finish time at each work centers. Expediting is the process of monitoring the material and job flow from station to station. Okay. Now, this is the questions related to this topic is define aggregate planning. What is MPS? What are the components of MRP? Define planning based on the production process and try to solve the problems based on the aggregate planning. Okay, thank you.